now from Hollywood, California, the horror capital of the world, the Boulet Brothers, creatures of the night.
Welcome back to the Boulet Brothers Creatures of the Night. We are, of course, your ghost hosts for this evening's journey, the Boulet Brothers Dragula,
and Swanthula.
And we are ready to answer all of your listener questions. As we mentioned on the last episode, tonight's show is dedicated to answering all of your remaining lingering questions about the Boulet Brothers Dragula 666. And next week, we will be interviewing the world's next drag supermonster, Asia Consent. And on the following episode, we will begin our post-mortem recap of Season 1, Season 2, Season 3, and Resurrection.
I am so excited for that. I'm so excited to talk to Asia again and really kind of take a time machine back to Season 1 and watch those episodes that I have not seen in years.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Like, I think this will be more of almost a biography of the show, because I don't necessarily like Season 1. I'm not going to go back and talk about their looks. I mean, nobody knew. No one had any examples, or, you know, they were kind of pioneers for the time. And so I wouldn't kind of examine that part of it, but the whole history of how it started and what it was like to film those seasons and all that, I think would be really interesting for people to hear.
And what we had to do, like what we chose to do to sort of make the dream a reality and keep the show producing and being more interesting and, you know, close to the queer underground as we can make it. And yeah, it's been a great wild ride.
I think so too. I mean, people are going to learn a lot of interesting tidbits about the show that they wouldn't have known about otherwise. Speaking of the show, do you feel like 666 ended really quickly?
Yeah, it's that whole thing where we started earlier. You know, we started October 1st, so we're ending like first week of December. And normally we would be like, you know, on the terror train right up into Christmas. And I got to say, I kind of like it like this.
I do too. It's much
yeah,
more
right.
chill.
It's better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And more of Dragula is airing during the Halloween season. And I think, that's just perfect. And then we get a couple of weeks to just sort of cool off and get into like Christmas, New Year's mode.
I agree. And you know what? We do have some exciting news for fans of the Boulet Brothers Dragula. Some really big news, but we can't talk about that for a few weeks. But rest assured, there is some very, very fun information coming down the pipeline soon.
That is right. And I mentioned the holidays. They're basically upon us. Any thoughts, feelings, opinions about the way things are this year?
It's a really weird year, I think, for the holidays, because there's a lot of division amongst families and friends and stuff over the election.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be an issue probably for some people.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are mad and they're scared, and you know, they're feeling betrayed. So we'll see what happens. I mean, for me, I love the kitsch of the holidays. I love it. I love, of course, all the antique blow molds and all those creepy little Santa tchotchkes and all that stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I love
We saw a good number of them at the flea market the other day.
Exactly. And there's like a whole huge array of antique shops in Orange, and they all have their displays out, and they're just really beautiful and nostalgic. I love all of it.
I mean, I think this year, maybe more than any other year, you have to go out and make your holidays the best they can be for yourself. So if you're feuding with your family, or you have a dickhead uncle who has different views, I mean, just don't invite them into your world. Like, celebrate with your chosen family or the people that you love. Do your own thing. Make it wonderful and like filled with joy, because you deserve it.
Yeah, and I want to just remind people that everything that people celebrate now, bringing the tree in the house, Santa Claus, all this stuff, it's all based in pagan tradition. I mean, this tradition at this time period was around a long time before Christianity was. And the traditions have been morphed and changed a little bit, but at their base, they're very similar.
And I think a lot of people know that and feel that, where there may be hey, we're going to decorate kind of traditionally American with like lots of colors and this, that, and the other. And it's about presents. But, kind of like we do, I think a lot of other people do too. It's more earth based and of the hearth and winter feast and kind of recapping what you've done that season and what you want for the next season. And that's what I make of it.
I want people to make a Yule log.
Should we post a picture of our Yule log?
We could. It's cute.
Pretty cute. It is really cute.
And I'm proud to say I literally dried out all the oranges and we went on little field trips to forage for all the stuff on it. And I'm very happy with the way it turned out.
That's right. We had to forage from our neighbor's yard. We got fresh rosemary.
Well, no, we had to go out and get the wood and all that stuff. Remember, we had a whole mission. But no, I mean, the reason I point that out is because I think some people, they think of the family, they get upset, or they think of Christianity and I don't want to celebrate the holidays. It's not about that. It's a time of year, and I think everybody feels this, where you need to kind of get together and you need to kind of gather around the hearth, right? Metaphorically speaking, and strengthen your bonds with other people and celebrate all that has happened in the last year, or at least examine it.
That's right.
All right, let's take a break. And when we come back, we will be answering all of your listener questions. Stay tuned.
Okay, we are back, and it's time to welcome our co-host and indecently impassioned Igor, the one and only Ian DeVogler. Ian, welcome back.
Oh my goodness, thank you. I live for a little alliteration, so thank you so much. And I think indecent is a good word for me.
Absolutely.
So Ian, how are you feeling about the holidays? They're kind of coming up quickly.
I'm actually feeling pretty good about the holidays, ? Y'all know, and y'all really taught me this when I first moved to LA. Holidays in LA are weird. Like
Totally.
it's so weird, right? It's like, okay, it's Christmas, I guess.
Or you guys are not going to go home or anything this year?
No, we're going to stay here because after seeing my family for Thanksgiving, I was like, I got to see y'all hoes again? Oh my God. Y'all got to leave me alone.
Well, if all four of us are going to be here in town, we can have our own hobo Christmas together.
Yay!
Don't call me that.
Homo.
Oh, right. How have y'all been? I feel like it's been 1,000 years since we've done this, even though I believe it has only been one calendar week.
Yeah. But it's because we've been doing them remotely this episode and the last one because everyone's been traveling for the holidays. So that's why, because you haven't been able to see us for a couple weeks.
Oh, but I did get to see y'all on my television screens for the finale. Congratulations.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Girl.
Thank you.
Wow. The one thing we didn't get to talk about was the blood dump at the end, though.
How thorough it was.
I mean, sister, girlfriend, mama divas, blood drenching for Asia.
I was like, after that Titans thing, I'm like, you better pour as much blood as you possibly can on this person. And I think too, the crew were living under your legend of blood dumping, and they didn't want to step it up, so they went overboard with it, which I think is awesome.
I love it. I thought that whoever did it, or the team of PAs who were at the helm of that, they did amazing. So congratulations, you all have survived extermination and will blood dump again.
And they didn't drop the bucket on Asia's head, which is awesome.
What did they drop it? Well, actually, I won't say that. Never mind.
On anyone else's head?
Exactly.
By the way, that was one of the most asked questions of this wave of questions.
What?
Do you film all the blood dumps, all the finalists, that whole question?
That's so crazy that I guess I would just assume that people in Hollywood, movie magic, what do you think? You're just like, and the winner is Asia Consent, and then Gray Matter and Auntie are just sitting there like, wah, teeth bucked the whole time?
Rough.
God.
I love it.
Oh, what we have to talk about before we start our listener questions is Silent Hill 2 remake.
Oh my God.
So
How are
you beat
you?
it on your streaming, right?
I did. I just beat it literally, I think 48 hours ago, maybe? Yeah.
Okay. This game is
Mhm.
scary. I play it on a gigantic TV with a sound bar in the pitch dark, and it's fucking terrifying.
Oh my god, I am obsessed. Okay, where are you? Because I'll tell you, after having finished the game, it only gets worse. It is
Really?
yeah, like, so where are you at? Can you
So
give
I'm
us
in
a
this
taste?
apartment building and I just saw Pyramid Head for the first time, but he was behind like a gate.
Mhm.
Um, and I saw him standing there and he didn't do anything, but it was like super creepy. And I got the gun finally and all the bullets and all that stuff, which of course I ran out of them instantly. But I was like, I thought I found a lot of them, but it's like you have to shoot everything at least 3 times. Anyways, that's where I'm at.
Wow, okay, well, congratulations on getting it that far because that was the point for me where I was like, "I think this is the scariest game I've ever played in my entire life."
Yeah, right. And I'm kind of like, I need to get out of this apartment. Like the it's so tight, and then you'll hear the sounds of them, and it comes through the controller and everything. I'm like, oh fuck,
Mhm. Oh
yeah.
my god. Swan, are you playing alongside Jack?
No, no, absolutely not. I do sit in on on a little watch session and I'm like, oh bitch, after like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, like just like derping around in that apartment building, all derelict and like the single person point of view, like turn to the right and then pan to the left. I mean, it looks like a horror movie that's just set perfectly for jump scares, which is just not for me.
I desperately want you to play. Just I want you to play so I can sit next to you and watch.
Oh my God. It would
They
be
need more
something.
health potions. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, do you like I think there's two health potions. One is goo and the other is dirty syringe, which I'm like, "Oh, this is a nice game.
I
This
think
is really
Dirty
lovely."
Syringe has more juice in it, right?
I know those drag queens.
I think Dirty Syringe auditioned for season 2 actually.
Damn. All right. Now is the moment we have all been waiting for. It's time to answer some listener questions.
Kennedy from Philadelphia writes, my question. So far, you've done 2 full face prosthetic appliances, and they've been hideously glorious. You two are clearly having so much fun in these looks, and while I know for a fact that the quote, fun is delirium from spending ages in the makeup chair, I wonder if you're up to doing more.
Oh,
Oh, that's an
absolutely.
easy yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, we had too much fun.
the thing is, those are the easiest days ever. Yes, we have to sit in the makeup chair for 4 hours, but we just have to sit there. Whereas every other episode, we have to sit there and paint ourselves for 3, 4 hours, whatever it takes. So to me, I love it. And it always puts me in a good mood. Also, the lighting can never be bad because you have a total fake face on.
There's so many good things about it,
It
and you
takes
can
so
see it
much
in our
pressure off.
yeah, you can see it in our performance too. Like when we're doing the dynamics or whatever we might be doing, I think you can see the really into character and the movement and all the monstrosity. I think really comes through.
I would do that bat face as a permanent look for us, but I just don't think I can hire Sig every time I leave the house and drag, so I'm not gonna do that.
Marie from Ohio writes, I want to tell you that I am obsessed with Yuri's death. That's the hardest I have laughed during any of the Boulet Brothers Dragula episodes, and was a needed bit of humor in my college hell week. I'm so curious, how did you come up with the concept of this death scene, as it is so different than any of the other previous ones?
So Yuri is so sweet. Yuri is so sweet at all times to everybody on the crew, the cast, and everything. And I knew that it was a hard week because she had kind of risen up. She wasn't doing super well in the beginning, and then she found herself and she started doing really well. So I think it was a really hard decision to send her home right there, right before the finale. And I was like, oh, we should do something cute and give her flowers. And I kept thinking about it. I was like, oh my God, we really should do that and follow her and take her. And then it just kept going and going. And I was like, and then what? And I'm like, no, then you're going to keep driving. They're like, are you serious? I'm like, yes, I want you to film her on the entire way to the airport. And they're like, okay. And film her getting out. I was like, no, film her getting out and go into the airport with her. I want you to go all the way to the gate.
Oh my God, it's too funny.
Jason from Melbourne, Australia writes, I am obsessed with how creative you both have been with your judgment looks this season, especially with the hyper detailed prosthetics from episodes 6 and 9. I know you've previously stated you do your own makeup, so I'm just wondering if you did these prosthetics yourselves too, and how long the application takes you, and how it affects your day of shooting, knowing the time it takes to get in and out of such intense facial prosthetics.
Well, I think Drac covered that in one of the previous answers, but we do not apply the prosthetics. We have amazing artists that we bring on, Sig Neutron, who has been on the show as a guest judge from season 3, and his sort of partner in crime, Kelton. Forgive me, I don't recall his last name, but they've done work on the show, and they're credited on all the episodes that they've done work on. We did have to sit through the life casting though, which was a really interesting experience. It's like complete sensory deprivation as this glob and what is it, dirty syringe gets poured all over your face, and then you have to sit there for like 20 minutes until it hardens.
Is it only 20 minutes? I felt like I was in that chair for like 2 hours.
Oh, and then the weird music he was playing, like I was like, she's trying to put me into like outer space, limbo. Like I'm traveling through the dimensions here.
I love it. I love going over there. I love like doing the casting. I love when he does our prosthetics. It's fun. But yeah, we don't do them. And how do we? I think the other part of the question was how it affects our day of shooting, knowing how long it takes. Yeah, it does take a long time to get into it. It takes a long time to get out of it too, because remember, these are not just face prosthetics, full head, neck, all the way down to our chest. So it is intense, but I love it. I don't hate it at all.
Yeah, it actually creates a little 3 or 4 hour session before we have to be on camera where we can just relax. Someone else is doing the work. I'm just looking at my phone or having coffee or whatever. And I don't have to, concentrate on doing my own makeup because there's tension in that too. You're like, every little mark, you're like, oh, this is going to show up in high definition and the editors are going to be looking at it and everyone is, they're going to be judging me and my drag. So we don't have to deal with any of that.
Jerry from Indonesia asks, are there any plans to upgrade the lab on the show? Because I watched the growth from season 3 to season 4's Boudoir to Titans and later to season 5, and I realized the season 5 vibe with season 666 shares the same vibe, and I would love to see the lab get bigger and better each season.
Well, Jerry, you can write a check and mail it to Boulet Brothers Productions.
Yes, sets are pretty expensive. It is, I don't know if fans know this, but reality TV, competition reality TV, is probably one of the most expensive formats you could ever film. It is a huge pain in the ass and it's mega expensive. So, a lot of times that money will go into different things. I think you noticed the first time we introduced this new main stage on season 5, we didn't go out to a lot of locations because we sort of traded the budget there. So it's possible that it would get bigger. I think I'm more interested in a bit of a reskin, but also for it to expand so that there's more areas, that you can kind of get away from each other and split up into groups.
Yeah, maybe additional rooms. If you look closely though, I agree with you and it's true. The season 5 vibe is very similar to season 6, but the lab has actually expanded, I think like 12 feet. It's become wider and larger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you go through the coffin door and you take a right, you literally walk down the hall and into the cauldron. So it is all connected.
It's so cool. And I love just thinking about season 3 to season 4. I'm like, it had to get bigger. It had to change, mama. And then to Titans, I'm just thinking behind this, I'm like, wow, like the lab has come a long way, mama.
It sure has.
Nick from New Hampshire writes, I hope your holidays are off to a good start. I wanted to ask if you had seen the new Wicked movie and what your thoughts were.
Oh my God. I think like so many people, we are obsessed. Like, let me tell you something. A movie usually does not stick with me. I'm like, cute, cool. Oh, really enjoyed it. Great. But I have been singing It's Me for a week and a half. It has been crazy. I actually really loved it. I thought they did a great job with the story and it was just surprisingly good.
And Popular is a song that I feel like in the next musical, and by the way, fans, there will be a next musical because you hated it And anytime you hate or love something, it's definitely coming back. And we're going to really lean into it.
Yes.
But anyways, I'm going to find a competitor and then I'm going to sing Popular to them in the lab.
Damn.
As far as our holidays, I have to say this: we've had kind of quiet holidays where we've been spending a lot of time with each other. But this year, more than many years in the past, we've really gone out of our way to kind of get into the spirit of course Halloween, but also Thanksgiving and Christmas, and kind of decorate and make these kind of like pagan decorations for the house, and really just kind of get into the spirit of it.
Cody from Durham writes, I'm sad that there was no reunion, but your reasoning is completely understandable. My question is, would you be willing at some point in the future to have some sort of mini reunion with the season 666 cast now that we know how shady and rotten they can be?
I think the moment's passed, honestly. Like, yeah, I'd love to see a reunion too, but once you do the finale, it's really hard to get fans back engaged with the show. So I just don't think it would do super well. I do think it would be super fun, but it is what it is.
Sean from Philly writes, I just wanted to say the satire on Yuri's extermination was so fucking funny. What was your favorite exit of a competitor you filmed?
That one's up there for me, honestly.
I mean, I think that might be number one.
What about you, Ian?
I was going to say, I feel like season 666 has a special magic to it where I'm like, every episode, I was like, oh, this is the best one. Oh, this is the best one. Oh, this is the best one. And, but I will give it to the bookends. I think that Severity Stone and Yuri are the best of the season. I love them. They're so good. They're so different too.
I agree with you.
The cast member and their attitude really goes a long way too, and their acting ability. So sometimes you're really limited with what you can do with them. And I don't know how to explain it. It's just when you're looking at it on camera, it's like, hi, everybody, I'm acting. And there's no way around it. And so we just have to find creative ways to kill people sometimes.
I know I'm not the only one that was giggling and tickled when Yuri was like, I'm not going to get murdered, and like kind of skipping down the hall.
Elle asks, when the warning sounds for the contestants to be ready for the floor show, how long do they actually have to get ready?
It's about an hour. So yeah, it doesn't mean the floor show's about to start right then. It's kind of like their 1 hour warning. That's it. Everyone always asks that, but
I know.
That's the answer.
And look, let's be real. If you compare those sections of the show from seasons 4 to 5, Titans 6, it's gotten crazier and wackier and like more zany and campy. So obviously, girl, in case you didn't pick up on it, we're leaning in. Okay, it's on purpose.
I love when people turn around. That is my favorite thing. Like they just like spin in place. I'm like, you understand the assignment.
Or Fantasia slamming your tits on the cauldron or on the coffin for no reason.
Oh, I think she had 2 big reasons to do it. Diane from Langdon writes, my husband and I are huge fans of the show, and recently we've been having a debate. We are hoping that you can settle it for us. Do either or both of you watch or read JoJo's Bizarre Adventure?
Never heard of it.
Nope, I don't know what that is. But now I'm going to have to look it up. I got to go to the library.
Girl. Matthew from Poland asks, I was wondering if there's any season you thought about a double crowning.
Well, I'm sure there was. Do you guys remember any? Like, you don't have to say what it was, but did we consider that ever?
Swan, do you wanna respond first?
I can't recall a time when we were like seriously considering crowning 2 people over just making the hard decision to crown 1 person. I don't think that's happened.
I agree with that. I think that there have been several seasons where we've thought no one's getting a crown or no one's gonna win. Like, fuck it. But yeah, I don't think
there's one season, and you know which one it was. I was so like, get me the fuck off this stage. This cannot end fast enough. I'm like, I hate everyone here. I didn't really hate them, but I was just like, and not the one that I struggled over. I would go back and forth. This person should win. No, it's that person. No, it's that person. And wouldn't turn in a finale until like, what was it, like a week before it aired or something. Because I was like, what if we change our mind?
Oh my God.
Jamie from Fullerton writes, with Asia Consent's floor show during the finale, I was moved so much that I was bawling. In the history of the show, I don't think I've ever had such a reaction to a floor show. My question is, how was the reaction on the floor from you and the crew?
Well, because we're directing it, we talked through the whole thing with her and helped her figure it out and all that stuff, just like we do all the finalists for their floor shows. And so I knew it was coming. It didn't have as much of an impact on me live or the crew, because the crew are there to do a job, which is to tell the artist's story. And that's what we're focused on. I will say, though, there was another floor show that I think kind of affected everybody. And it was Hoso's Filth finale show.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, mama.
Yeah,
That was
yeah, yeah.
intense.
Remember
live.
that? Everybody on the crew was like blown away.
Yeah, I think Filth has that capability a lot of the times because
Mhm.
that also, in a little bit of a different way. I remember when Dali did Sad Jerk Off Clown, everyone was also blown away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. For the ending of it, yeah, we were all like a bit stunned with that too.
Jack Roy from Maryland writes, my question, in future seasons, Titans or otherwise, will we ever get to see an All in the Family judges panel featuring the monstrously magnificent Ian DeVogler? Ooh, oh my god.
Yeah,
I think it's very
see it happening.
possible.
Yeah. Something.
I
And,
would-
and,
yeah,
and in fact,
game
if she didn't leave her station, it probably could have happened on season 6.
Wow. I love and appreciate this question. I have to take the words out of a person who is no longer in our lives. I would want to make sure that I could bring the clout to the stage because it's an honor. It's an honor to be on the judges panel. So I got to make sure that the star rises because I don't want to be there like, hey everybody, you don't know me, but hey, how's it going?
Well, look, everyone knows you from Creatures of the Night. We've been doing this podcast for what, 4 or 5 years at this point? Holy shit.
Crazy, but true.
Oh my god.
And you've been a part of the show from its creation all the way to where it is. So I can't think of a better person to judge, in my opinion.
Ooh, you heard it here. KJ from South Wales writes, I had a thought about how you score the episodes throughout the season. You have both mentioned multiple times on the podcast that you and the guest judges have score sheets for each competitor during each
I
episode.
thought she meant scored it like the music.
The
I was
music
like,
choices.
Sorry, go ahead.
Damn. However, I wondered if that is still the same during the finale as there are no guest judges and the final decision is made purely by Drac and Swan. I would love to know the tea on this current hyperfixation my brain has decided to cling to.
I think for me at least, and Swan, you can, say what your opinion is, but I kind of know what's happening as it's happening when it comes to the finale. Because again, we're there in the room directing every single floor show from all 3 finalists. And I know as I'm watching when someone has won or hasn't or whatever. So the scoring's a little different for the finale.
I'd agree. And I want to back up and just say JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a Japanese manga series written and illustrated by Hirohiko Araki. It follows the Joestar family who have intense psychic strength and their struggles against evil. I can see where she draws this connection for sure. Except we are the evil.
All right, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we will continue to answer all of your listener questions. Stay tuned.
Welcome back, my darlings. Let's move on with the next question.
Beso from Puerto Rico writes, as someone who celebrates National Argument Day from time to time, I have a podcast project with my husband where sometimes we don't see eye to eye with ideas. Any recommendations as to not let these arguments affect our personal relationship?
I think you should, because that's going to make them more fun. Like the listeners probably want to hear you seriously argue and have awkward moments. I mean, it would make me listen more.
No, yeah, I love it. Lean in. And also your husbands, right? So I have to imagine that you have each other's hearts. So maybe you can even realize that you're really putting on a show for the audience, but underneath that, you of course still love each other.
But you know each other's secrets too, which you should use against each other in a public setting. Like,
Yeah. And there's also a lot of sensitivity buttons that you know exactly how to push. Push them.
Wow. So then the podcast becomes a true crime podcast live on the finale of the podcast.
and there we've
Yeah.
given them the formula to a successful podcast.
Chloe asks, "Hi, I have a general question for all of the seasons. Do the competitors have to run their finale floor shows by y'all first? If so, is there anything so gross or distasteful that you've had to tell them to change it? Also, what would be something for each category that you would love to see?"
I don't think we've ever. No, I don't think we've ever told someone they couldn't do something. Does anybody remember that?
I'd have to say no. I don't think Drac and I have ever put on the brakes for someone's finale idea, whether it be the Filth floor show or any floor show. In fact, we often say yes, and how can we help you? And do you need help sourcing people, props, like anything to make the show even bigger and better?
Filth is such a weird category for me because I don't love it, but I have a huge appreciation for it. Meaning, like, I love that these, like the John Waters movies and how grisly and grotesque they were. And I love that vibe, but it's not my thing. So it's always interesting when people are like, I want to do this or that. And I'm like, sure, go for it.
I just love seeing people push the envelope. Like, I know that they're going to make viewers uncomfortable. They're going to make people uncomfortable, and that gets me off.
Hannah asks, "I was wondering how you decide which finales will have a lip sync portion, a la season 4 and 5, versus the season 6 finale, which did not. And how do you pick the songs they lip sync to?"
I think it's
random.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
It's kind of random. It really depends on the inspiration from that season. For example, the season 5 finale, we weren't even sure we were going to do a lip sync until like a week before we filmed it. And I just knowing their stories and hearing the Ladytron song, I was like, I don't know why, but this is the right song for this finale. And I really think it was. But this time, their ideas and their shows were so fully fleshed out that I didn't want to throw them by, imagine what Asia's horror show would have came off like if we threw a lip sync in there. It would have screwed it up.
No, that's true. And I think this season, maybe more than any other season, had the most number of lip sync challenges. I think there were 3 maybe during the regular episode of the show. So I didn't feel so compelled to have it in the finale to prove that they could do it, because we've already seen it several times.
Yeah, I guess we did it a lot.
Dylan from KCK writes, "Your previous mentions about your inexperience with horror video games and Desiree Dick's decision to do Freddy Fazbear for their Horror Icons floor show this season has me wondering, how would you judge a horror icon's look if you did not recognize the character, but that character still fit the bill of a horror icon? Is there an approval process to prevent that from happening?"
Well, part of the challenge is, and we tell them this, be creative, think outside the box, but it is a horror icons challenge, and your horror icon needs to be recognizable. And even though I didn't have a ton of experience with Five Nights at Freddy's, I was aware of the character, so that was fine. Yeah. But you can't pick something so obscure and be like, well, I have a degree in obscure horror 101, and expect people to get it,
Not iconic. But also that's like saying, okay, well, if you're a judge, you would have had to consume every piece of media available to man to judge fairly, if that's the way you're looking at it, because it means we'd have to read every horror book, watch every horror movie, TV show, every horror video game. I mean, nobody would do all that. And it doesn't mean you can't judge something the right way.
Michael Duncan writes, "For an extermination, would you ever drop off the competitors at a legitimately abandoned haunted location with high supernatural energies overnight and tell them to just survive the night? Or is there a strict Boulet Brothers Dragula rule of don't fuck with ghosts or piss off the dead?"
Oh no, we've talked about fucking with the ghosts and pissing off the dead so many times, but here's the deal. It could be very boring, right? You could end up filming for 12 hours and get nothing. So there's so many better ways to be spending your extermination time
Uh,
than wondering if someone's going to get spooked out in the middle of nowhere.
I don't even want to imagine it being like 3:34 in the morning, and we're all there on set, and we're like, we gotta start making shit happen.
Yeah, like who's gonna go over there in those bushes or something?
Exactly. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. That's literally my number one reason, because I'm like, because nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
If it did, if I knew for sure it would, of course we would do it.
I mean, I think there have been a couple of times where we've said, hey, let's go, let's have some people go do some fun stuff in an extermination, but that's maybe different. Nathan from Canada writes, when discussing the Ghost Train episode, you warned us about an incoming, quote, level 10 flopula from a contestant we'd least expect. The season is over, and I can't tell which look you're talking about. Could you reveal the flopula?
What I was referring to wasn't a look. It was anti-flubbing the song during the musical episode, because our impression was that Auntie was like the musical queen, and we all thought she was going to bring it and win.
Oh, I thought
That's
she was
why-
going to slay so easily.
Yeah, so I think that's why we thought it was a flop, because, you know, to flub your lyrics and just like that, and when you have a one-take show, it was just kind of shocking. But Auntie's super talented. I mean, like I said in the episode, it was just a random fuck up that happens to the best of us.
Andrew from Orlando writes, my question is this. Were you aware that Majesty was going to leave the show before they left? Is this the reason that both Gray and Vivi came back from extermination? If so, who would have been exterminated?
So no, we didn't know that.
Nope.
We don't know. Well, we know usually, but nobody else knows who's going home until about 5 minutes before that other person that didn't go home walks through the cauldron. So no, we had no idea.
And as far as Majesty kind of exiting stage left, that left an opening as far as someone else to continue on in the competition. So that actually did affect who was going home or not going home on that episode.
Brennan asks, will there be a US tour with this year's Monsters?
Probably.
Get your coins together just in case.
That was a Jaharia moment. Should she go home? Probably.
There is going to be a tour. We've already been in talks about it, but I don't know what time frame yet, because we have a massive amount of filming projects this year, and so we're gonna have to figure out where we can squeeze it in.
Yeah, it may end up being like a mid to late summer tour, which will still be cool.
Kristen asks, one of the most adorable things from season 6 was when Drac pointed out the forgotten eyelashes. It was a charming, relatable, and real moment. That said, did Drac forget earrings in the crowning look in the finale? I noticed and it made me giddy.
Probably.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I'm like, wow, retag me. So did you have earrings on and I didn't? I could see that happening.
I could see that happening too. And by then, I mean, we'd been on set for 7-8 weeks more. Like, it's just, okay, yes.
The
she probably
irony
forgot
of
the
it
earrings.
is the earrings, those bat wing earrings, I bought them to go with that crowning look.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Oh
you
my
see how
God.
how the arm pieces and the breastplate match them. And then of
Yeah.
all the times to forget them. But anyway.
And they are so cute. They're not even jeweled or anything, but they're my favorite new earrings for sure.
Oro asks, you've mentioned that you all have actually tested some of the extermination challenges yourselves. What are some of the ones you each did? What one was the worst for each of you? And are there any fun behind-the-scenes stories of you or others testing them?
I mean, Ian's always cooking and eating everything and almost throwing up, so that's pretty hysterical.
I'm like personally offended by this question. I'm like, all of them, sister girlfriend. I'm like, I wasn't the guinea pig for 10 years for nothing.
But you loved it. No one was
Oh,
doing
yeah.
anything to you. You were I was like, would anyone volunteer? You're like, hand up in the air instantly.
Yeah, I was definitely, to steal Kristen's word, like, I was always giddy to test them. Like, I think some of my favorites, like, anytime it was like, hey, Ian, we're gonna do shock. I'm like, yay! Or like, hey, Ian, latex bed. Yay! So
Yeah. We've done a lot of them. Like, speaking of shock, I remember season 5 when we like put him out in the woods, and those Yeti
Oh,
monsters had those
yeah.
shock batons, and they were like, well, which ones do you want us to use, the big one or the little one? And I'm thinking the little one is going to be weaker, so I'm like, do the little one to me. And I was like, holy shit. And then the big one wasn't half of that, so I was like, definitely use the little one. No, I will use the big one.
Well, sometimes their costumes are so thick, so I'm like, you need to turn it up to like 9.
Except that was the season where everyone was like, it's like Fantasia and Neo and like Cynthia. It's like everyone's like butt ass naked running around.
No, totally. And remember when Cynthia just went ahead and did a death scene?
Oh my God. That is the best moment of that night. Like, we was gagged, mama.
I'm like, is she okay? Wait, why is she doing that? Like, what the hell is happening?
That was a fun night, actually. That was a really good episode.
That was cool.
Todd from Los Angeles asks, which Boulet Brothers Dragula monsters do you think would work well on a legitimate season of Traitors? As a faithful or as a traitor?
Well, obviously, Majesty would be great on a traitor.
Damn.
Who else? I see that as a compliment.
Uh-huh.
Who else?
I actually think Sigourney would do very well.
I was thinking that too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be some other people.
To me, this is kind of a weird one because I'm like, I feel like every season of the Boulet Brothers Dragula, I'm like, basically is traitor sometimes. I'm like, the entire cast of season 4 would be so good.
Oh my God. Betty, Jade, Zaba. What magic season 4 was. Like season 6 kicked ass, but season 4, there's something about season 4 that's still like way up at the top for me.
T from Melbourne asks, help me scratch this itch I've had for years. Why do I get the feeling you were going to put the final 4 monsters through to the finale in season 3, but when Louisiana Purchase grabbed the pumpkin instead of the invite, you decided to eliminate her instead? I can't help but think there would have been 4 invites hidden in the maze if there wasn't a chance that each of the competitors could locate one and secure their spot in the finale.
Well, there was only 3, and, you know, she picked up the pumpkin. She did not find the invite, so that's what actually happened.
Katie from Austin, Texas asks, I was wondering this season during the intro when you were in the mansion, is there any reason that you both use those small chairs to sit in? It seems like... Oh my God! Damn, Katie! It seems like they are very low to the ground and that you both might be pretty uncomfortable.
Katie, I invite you to go back and watch every reunion when we're sitting in those goddamn thrones, because this is where the joke comes in where Drac looked at me and it was like I left off a building and like my knees like bucked in and under me as I crunched to the ground, because that's what it was like sitting on those thrones. Like, I didn't realize these chairs look small.
Yeah, well, they were the coolest looking chairs in the set, so it was all set up before we got there. And a little BTS, the air conditioner broke and in that set when we were filming the intros, and it was 1,000,000,000 degrees. So we literally ran in and sat down and would film it and get up and run to the AC and then run back. It was in the middle of summer. It was very hot.
Brutal.
Valerie writes, curious if you guys would ever be able to get Amanda Lepore on as a guest judge. Especially, she'd be great for a Glamour challenge. Have y'all ever been in the Club Kid scene parties with Amanda Lepore and the rest of the Misfits?
I cut my teeth in the nightlife world at the Limelight and Tunnel, and way back in the day, I partied with all of them many times. And Amanda Lepore has actually been on the show. Have you seen Dragula?
Also, Amanda Lepore has been at Queen Kong like 100 times. Wait, I'm confusion.
I can't wait till you improve.
Oh God, she was so good.
Yeah, Valerie, maybe Valerie's a newer watcher, but go back and watch season 2 and you will see Amanda Lepore. I think it's episode 3 or 4, I'm not sure, but go back and watch it.
And also go back and watch season 3 where she's actually on the show.
That's what I thought it was 3.
Yeah.
Well, if you watch season 2 carefully, you'll see her in there somewhere. But then you'll see her in the
you'll see her in the mirror because she's in the other room. She's not really on camera, but yeah, she's on season 3.
She was shy that day.
Oh my God, remember like Angeline?
Oh,
because there's some
Oh, go
shared
ahead.
DNA between Amanda Lepore and Angeline. But like to get Angeline to show up in a club, because we had her at a Dragula party. I mean, we had to do like a security walkthrough. She had to come in and check the vibe and the energy of the room. We had to let her know where all the exits were, the emergency exits, the front door, the back door. I mean, it was crazy. And she was there for all of like 20 minutes. It was silly.
Ryan writes, I had hoped that curses and the game aspect of the season would lead to some dramatic exterminations, but it didn't feel like there was much payoff. Do you feel like the curses were successful? I see the potential, but felt a bit let down. What, if anything, would you consider doing differently next time?
Maybe the curses need to cause permanent damage.
Ooh, yeah.
Evaporate all of the wigs that you brought with you.
Yeah.
Oh my god, permadeath
Oh
season.
my god. Yeah, no, I mean, look, I thought that the curses and the game aspect, you can't control those things. I mean, you want to, but you can't. And so it did start to go in an interesting direction, I thought, during the musical episode. And that's where I think it would have paid off.
Yeah.
But they didn't follow through with it. So I think in the future, now that people have seen an example of it, future cast members will be a little more willing to play. And I think we need to emphasize to them that that's what we want.
Salty Sent Home Sally writes, one of the most fun wild cards of season 666 was how fucking funny the banter between Drac and Swan was every episode. We've got bits of this in previous seasons, but y'all were unhinged in multiple episodes. Is the joking around because of comfort level with hosting? Has it always been like this and you just cut it? Or did season 666 just break your brains? Whatever it is, more please next season.
I think a lot of it got cut. We've always been pretty silly, but I think, you know, there's things that we just knew would get cut and we'd kind of go off on each other or laugh or whatever. And then they just started including more of it and people liked this. And then they just like put a bunch of it in.
I love it too. Like sort of like the podcast, I think it gives audience members an opportunity to see kind of what our personalities are like sort of behind the personas, and that kind of banter, like we have that in our regular life too. So it's the little bird's eye view into how it really is between the Boulets.
That's the last question, yeah?
That is correct. That
Yes,
is the
ma'am.
end of the listener mail.
That was very painless. I thought they were going to ask some really hard stuff about the season, but everyone's being a nicey cutie this episode.
It's the holidays.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's what it is. Everyone's trying to be good so they get presents. All right, everybody. That's all the time we have for this episode of the Boulet Brothers Creatures of the Night. Make sure you join us next week for our exclusive interview with our new super monster, Asia Consent. And then the following week's episode, we will begin our post-mortem of the Boulet Brothers Dragula Season 1, which we are going to watch all the way through Season 1, all the way through Season 2, all the way through Season 3, and Resurrection.
Oh, I'm so excited.
We'll see you then, Uglies.
The Boulet Brothers Creatures of the Night is hosted and produced by Drac Morta and Swanthula Boulet, along with co-host Ian de Vogler, with music by Neuron Spectre.